Folks, Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, over all the earth, over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So first lesson from this verse is that God created us in his image. Second lesson is that God created male and female, Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, as you've heard it said. And Satan doesn't like that. Satan, from the beginning, has wanted to trick man, fool man. He has wanted to destroy man because he wants to be God. And every man that he sees, woman or man, mankind, he always sees God in them because they're a reflection of God. They're in the image of God. And so Satan, every time he sees it, he sees his failure and the fact that he wants to be the creator. He wants to be God. And so what's happening? Well, Satan is going to try and kill every human being because he wants to get back at God. He wants to rule and reign himself. Daniel chapter 7, verse 25 says, "And he shall speak great words against the Most High, blasphemy, and shall wear out the saints." Who are the saints? Well, if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, the faithful, if you have the Lord Jesus Christ in your heart, he is your Lord and Savior, you are one of the saints. And what does Satan want to do? He wants to wear you out. He wants to grind you down so that you lose your faith, so that you get tired. Indeed, ultimately, he wants to kill you faithless. He wants to get you hating God and to die that way because he knows that you will go to hell, which is ultimately where he is going to go, and he knows it, and he wants to take as many people with him as he can. So he's going to try and wear out the saints. And he will think to change times and laws. He's going to try and change all the laws of the land. Think about all the laws about gender fluidity and gender and choice and all these. They're changing the laws in the land. Now you have to, you have to love these people, for whatever choice they make about what. Now, as Christians, we should love everybody. We should love the sinner but hate the sin, as someone has coined. But the laws of the land are changing to where it's now hate speech to say anything against particular sin, and you know what I'm talking about there. "And they shall be given into his hand," so the saints, "until a time and times and a dividing of time." And so the saints are given into the hands of Satan for Satan to do with what he wishes for 3.5 years. This is talking about the first 3.5 years of the 7-year period. God gives Satan kind of the last chance, the last 3.5 years, and he gives him the ability to kind of do his worst, if you will, to the saints. And we all go through that, and there's been persecution throughout the ages. But this is a specific time when he will do his worst, and the Antichrist will kill as many as he can, as he has been doing since Adam and Eve, since he realized he was kicked out of heaven, and since he realized that man is created in God's image. And so what's happening? Well, you can read the article there. The day of vengeance. The day of vengeance will go ahead as scheduled, even after the shooting, and the Christians are being targeted, folks. This day of vengeance was organized long before this shooting occurred, and they're going to go ahead with it. It's very violent to have something titled the Day of Vengeance. That sounds almost biblical, doesn't it? Well, they're going to hold this, and you know what? They're not saying sorry to the Christians. They're not apologizing or caring about the 3 young children that were killed. And it's absolute terrible for those people. But you know what? Christians are targeted. Christians will be getting targeted more and more, and Christians have been targeted throughout the ages. And Satan wants to kill as many people as he can. So what does he do? He uses all these people who are messed up in the head, who are sucked in to the brainwashing and to the ideologies and to all these things to go against God's people, to go against the saints, to wage war against the saints. And Satan's sole purpose is just to kill as many people as possible. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter why these people are killing the Christians. He just wants to take as many people with him into hell as possible. He's hoping they go to hell. He's hoping they're not saved, or just kill as many as he can. Here's another thing. UK government confirms that you-know-what are deadly, with new data showing mortality rates per 100,000 people were lowest among the you-know-what throughout 2022. So was there something nefarious going on? I'm not saying it was coordinated or even designed necessarily, but Satan encourages these things, the gain of function research. He encourages people in high places. He allows money to flow and does what he can to move money in a direction that will convince people to get into this and warfare. And this was warfare, bio warfare. Being created in the lab. It probably wasn't ready to go yet, but it got out by mistake, I think, in China. I think if they were ready to go, they probably would have killed a lot more people. But it goes to show you that even the solutions, the man-made solutions, are fallible, even though man thinks they're awesome. And man forced mankind, if you will, in large part, to take this. And what's happening? It's killing people. I'm going to probably get a strike on YouTube for saying that. It's not killing people. There you go. How about that? I'll reverse what I said. Strike that from the record. But you know what I'm saying. And this is, it doesn't matter how it happens to Satan. As long as people are taken out, he just wants to kill as many people as possible. He doesn't care if they're saved or not saved. He wants to kill as many people as possible. Here is davidickey.com. You can read the letter there. NHS director confirms the hospital said something about the things going on there to tell a story. All right, so you can read the headline there. I'm not allowed to say it. I'm probably going to get hit for this video. This is thecommonsenseshow.com. Economic collapse. It's going down. Again, it doesn't matter what way, what causes it to happen. Satan wants chaos. He wants civil war. He wants people going mad and going against God in every way, shape, and form, every way possible. And if he can sow and foment uprisings and anger and vengeance, days of vengeance and all these things, he can divide and conquer and take as many people with him as he can. And that's happening. The world is going down. The world economic system is going down, folks. This is interesting. I think this does happen every year. Israel 365, rabbis petition government to allow Passover sacrifice on Temple Mount, and the Arabs, of course, are against it. As I've spoken in prior videos, there will come a time, I think the Antichrist is going to be the ultimate one to allow the rebuilding of the third temple and the sacrifices to start, because he will also be the ones that cause the sacrifices to cease. But the Jews are continually going forward and attempting to get permission to sacrifice on the Temple Mount. And this is an end-time Bible thing related to, during the 7-year period, the Antichrist will cause the sacrifices to cease, and then he will cause the abomination of desolation by sitting on the throne in the third temple. So basically, that it all goes to show you that, ultimately Satan is going to wear down the saints. He's going to have a chance for 3.5 years to wear down, where he can do it as his worst at that point in time. There's going to be great persecution, and most people have never seen this before. And this is when you need to increase your faith, so that you don't fail or falter during these times of persecution. We ain't seen nothing in North America, in the West, even most of the world. We ain't seen anything in terms of real biblical persecution, but I do believe it's coming in the last days, especially in the first half of the 7-year period. There is massive persecution. Pray that the Lord would tarry almost, and we wouldn't have to go through it. But on the same hand, we know time is wrapping up, and we need to look up because our redemption is drawing nigh. And that's a glorious thing to see heaven so close, and to see the millennial reign of Christ, and to see that the Lord is going to bring justice to this world. But just before that, God's going to give a last chance to everybody. Absolute free choice, freedom. And he's going to let Satan loose for a period and a time. And Satan's going to take as many people as he can. Now, this is a War News 247, so of course we got war, which is taking hundreds of thousands of lives. Satan is loving this. He loves it when people just kill each other. He would be happy if all civilization just killed each other. So he's working on multiple fronts, basically to kill and maim as many people who are created in the image of God as possible. Satan is trying to do that, and he will do it even more so during the 7-year period. So now we have China entering the battle overtly, really. And China has apparently now given some sort of permission to North Korea to send 50,000 North Koreans. Are they marching to their death? Why is Russia not using their troops? Well, Russia's withholding their troops for when the real battle against the United States overtly starts. Right now they're using proxy forces, i.e. the Wagner group, or the Wagner group, if you want to call it that. And Russia is using them until they're worn out, and they're holding their best soldiers and their populace, because they don't have a lot of population, but 30 million. They're waiting until the big battle, and so is the West in a sort of a way, and that's why the West doesn't want to get troops on the ground, boots on the ground, because they're waiting for the larger battle between United States, China, United States, Russia. Come to find out that the West is now depleted of pretty much all, the main bulk of their ammunition, the main bulk of the money to wage a war, and Russia is absolutely winning the war in terms of wearing down the West, bleeding it dry of money, bleeding it dry of ammunition, and once it's bled dry of ammunition, then Russia and China will put the nail in the coffin, deal the death blow. And it's probably going to be an economic death blow. The United States is in death throes economically with the banking collapse. But this is interesting, 50,000 North Koreans. For the first time, Russian military correspondent and well-known one reports that 50,000 North Koreans are ready to leave for the fronts of Ukraine. Various Russian sources are talking about a huge agreement between China and Russia aimed at a military reinforcement of North Korea. This confirms again that China really manages North Korea. They give North Korea permission or remove permission to do things. Everything North Korea does is under the requirements, the permission of Xi, the Chinese dictator. And so interesting that, again, China isn't even using its own troops. It's using North Korea, I guess, a plausible deniability and a proxy force for China, but 50,000 troops nonetheless, and this will probably be more. Pyongyang is already receiving Russian nuclear and cruise missile technology, so they're helping on the military front. They probably have treaties and pacts ready to go should war break out against Russia or China, that North Korea would fire all its nuclear missiles at U.S. bases in the region, for example, wherever they could hit. It says, indeed, North Korean intercontinental ballistic missiles now look remarkably similar to Russian Topol. So all the Asian, Russia, China, North Korea, those countries are all lining up together, and all the NATO nations, the Western nations, are lining up, and we're going to World War III. We're in the middle of World War III. It's being waged right now. The big guns have not come out yet, but that's because they're wasting and draining all the resources or attempting to drain the resources of each other by using up all their old ammunition, all their old weapons, and going through all the quote-unquote expendable humans. Again, Satan loves us. Satan just wants to see as many humans die as possible. So they're getting rid of all those frontline guys and all that frontline equipment, waiting for the moment when the high technology and the best weapons are pulled out to win the war. So that is significant. It says... the sister of the North Korean leader stressed that she stands by Russia. 800,000 apparently filled out application to voluntarily enlist in one day. Now, I question whether that was voluntarily or not by North Koreans, but 800,000 folks. China can also give North Korea permission to set up private military organizations with 500,000 men that can operate. So similar to Wagner Group, China is apparently allowing North Korea to set up a Wagner-type group with up to 500,000 men, so Russia doesn't have to use their special ops troops. So China doesn't have to use their civilians or their troops. They're sending in all these proxy forces. They're sending these guys to the front lines to get mowed down until the day when all those people are burned out and killed, and then they'll bring out the big weapons if they still need them at that point in time. It's a terrible thing. I can't stress it enough. And I was going to say God's up there shaking his head. God knew this would happen from the beginning of the world. Satan is just doing, trying to kill as many people as possible. And he will have a chance, one final chance to wear out the saints. And I think that is coming shortly. I think what we are looking at right now is massive economic collapse and at least a couple of nuclear weapons, to the point where the world is so desperate, in need, in war, in famine, economic collapse, where they will fully accept and even ask for a world leader to come save the world from total annihilation. And they will accept a mark of the beast system, a new world order, a new world government, and they will accept that this leader come into place. They will call him God, and they will think he is the Messiah. Jews will think he is the Messiah, this Antichrist figure, because he will allow them to build the third temple. So, folks, times are, I won't say scary, but times are, it's a time to be somber, to recognize what is coming, to be sober, and it's an expectant time, but it's a time of great upheaval, and things will never be the same again, and things are going to get far worse than they are right now. So be prepared in your heart, mind, and soul, folks. Ultimately, the only thing that the world and Satan can't take away is our faith in Jesus Christ. And at the end of the day, that is all we will have left.